Hello and welcome. It is Wednesday, July 18th, and we are live at 5 at Broadway.com. I'm Paul Montoric.
And I'm Beth Stevens.
And over there is Caitlin Moynihan.
Hello.
And we have a very exciting guest today.
We do.
One of the boys in the band.
One of the boys, Tuck Watkins, is here. Whoop, whoop. Yay.
Making his Broadway debut in the now hit
So
revival.
good.
I mean, it recouped.
Heck
so
yeah.
it's officially a hit. Now you can officially say it's a hit. Hey, Caitlin, first let's talk about today's top 5.
We got some sad news just a few hours ago.
This is devastating me,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Tony winner Gary Beach has passed away at the age of 70. I'm a little bit
Well, he's
speechless
somebody
about
that
it.
we
We just
saw
love
a
him.
lot
We
of,
saw
yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of him. He actually died on yesterday he died on July 17th, which was yesterday in Palm Springs. 70 years old, won a Tony Award, of course, for playing Roger Debris in The Producers. He also reprised his role in the movie version with Susan Stroman. Also, he played Albin in La Cage, the 2004 one with Gavin Creel and Daniel Davis and Michael Benjamin Washington. That version.
Right. That was a great production.
That was a great
Yeah.
production. He was, of course, in Beauty and the Beast,
Lumiere, Tony nomination. 3 Tony nominations
Three
in
Tony
total.
Tony
One
nominations,
Tony
that's
Award.
correct.
He was also a rooster in Annie. I mean,
That's
he
right.
was like
He was a replacement rooster in
yeah,
Annie.
He was like
Love
a
it.
real musical comedy guy.
Yes, and he played Monsieur Thénardier in Les Mis. That was his most recent
Right.
Broadway credit, I think. We just loved him. What a kind person.
Yeah, he was
I could
great.
go on and on, but anyway, we're very sad about that. And we have our condolences going out to his husband, Jeffrey Barnett.
So after going off into more positive news, if you can't get into the Walter Kerr, good news.
Right. So we're a block from the Walter Kerr where Springsteen
But we haven't
on
been there in a while.
Broadway. So I walk by.
It's hard to get in there.
Hard to
walk
get
by
in there.
every day, and there have been cameras out there for the last 2 days, and I'm like, something's happening. But sometimes the news comes after the actual. Anyway, they're filming it for Netflix. So Springsteen on Broadway will launch globally on Netflix. I guess along those same lines, Broadway.com is global, aren't we?
We
Anything
are.
on the internet
Yeah.
is global.
Like 4% of our people are watching from the UK.
This is a
so-
global live at
Thank you,
5,
Caitlin.
everybody. Anyway, it's going to be global on Netflix on December 15th, which is also the final night of the oft-extended
So do you stay home and
Broadway
watch on Netflix, or
run.
do you go to the final performance? Hard to decide.
So, but it's
Same
not
call.
live.
No.
I don't think it's live. I think
Not
they're
if they
filming
have
it.
the-
I think
there
they're
have been
filming it right
cameras
now. So, anyway, so that's awesome. So it will live on.
Live on forever. And the Dame has announced her exit.
My best friend, Diana Rigg, we're really close.
Oh, because you drank together.
We had a little prosecco moment together. She has announced her final performance in My Fair Lady. It will be September 9th. She, of course, received a Tony nomination, and she's just a legend. And she's probably going salmon fishing at her estate in France. Read her bio in the playbill; it's worth it.
I love that. And a pair of jeans is coming center stage.
Wow, Caitlin's earning her keep today.
Sure. Okay, so the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, the movie that is actually about that. But you never saw it.
No, you know me very well.
I know you, Beth.
It's so good.
It's about a bunch
get
of
there.
friends who share a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Right? And they
Based in Maryland.
Like you take the jeans, and we'll find out what happened to you when you were wearing them, and then the next one takes them somewhere else, and then
This
they
is
all
the
hang
plot.
out.
Yeah, no, and it's magic because they all have 4 completely different body types and it fits them all.
Oh, that is
Magic.
It's magic jeans.
And isn't there a sequel? There's a sequel.
There's a lot of books, but there are only
Okay.
2 movies.
Anyway, so the first movie came out in 2005. I saw it. Blue Spruce Productions has bought the rights to this to make a stage adaptation. So that's all we really know.
Will the jeans sing?
We
Will
don't-
they dance?
No,
Okay.
that's ridiculous.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
But yeah, so sit tight. We don't know who's in it. We don't know who's writing it. We don't know anything. It might never happen. But for right now, they own the rights, and hopefully it will happen because a lot of like I think like women in their like 30s would be really excited. I think they grew up on it.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna hit that like Anastasia crowd.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And a stellar cast has been announced for a new work.
Okay, you know I'm excited about this because this show is called The Girl from the North Country. It's written by a wonderful playwright, Connor McPherson, and it uses the music of Bob Dylan. This was done at the Old Vic in London, then it moved to the West End, and now it's coming to the Public Theater. Listen to the cast. Mark Kudish, Mare Whittingham.
This is all new to me. I didn't read this
Stephen
story.
Bogardus, David Pittu, I'm here for you. Caitlin Houlihan are all going to be in the U.S. premiere of The Girl from the North Country. This is, as I said, at the Public. Begins preview September 11th. Opening night is set for October 1st. Limited run, as the Public does, until November 4th. Set in a down-on-its-luck community, because what other kind? It's Bob Dylan, on the brink of change in 1934 Duluth, Minnesota.
Cool.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Nope. All right.
There you go.
Well, I'm always happy when Mark Kudish is around.
Always.
It's always good to have Kudish right here, hopefully.
I hope
but
so, too.
today we have Tuck Watkins. So Beth, it's time for you to
I'm going to get out of here.
exit. And Caitlin, why don't you tell us more about Tuck?
Of course. Guys, we have Tuck Watkins in the studio today. He is currently making his Broadway debut in The Boys in the Band, which is currently at the Booth Theater, but only until August 12th, so you got to get there. He is known for his screen career, which includes One Life to Live, Desperate Housewives, Beggars and Choosers, and The Mummy. I could just go on because he's amazing. You guys already know all the stuff he's been in. Follow him on social media at Tuck Watkins on both Instagram and Twitter, and leave all your questions for him in the comments down below. Everyone, please welcome Paul and Tuck.
What's up, Tuck?
Paul,
I
what
love
in the
that.
world?
I don't know any other Tucks.
Well, I'm really Kurt. It's
I
a
know.
nickname,
I know.
which I couldn't say when I was little, and I said Tack, and they just called me that.
So that's how it
Ever since,
happened.
yeah.
One of my questions was just answered immediately.
Next question.
Now I know we had
Check.
Tuck Everlasting on Broadway a couple years ago, spelled differently. Are you the first? Are there a lot of Tucks on IBDB.com?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, actually, there's a guy named Tuck Milligan who's an amazing
yeah.
New York actor,
Right.
and he and I worked together on One Life to Live. In fact, the executive producer of One Life to Live hired him specifically so we could work together.
Oh,
That's so
He's this
funny.
really cool guy, and so we got to work together. I think he was my lawyer while I was selling my liver to somebody on One Life to Live.
They also hired him because he was very talented.
Yes.
Not just
Yes.
because
Yes,
they wanted
yes,
to
yes. See,
bring the Tucks together.
Tucks often put their feet in their mouth.
You know, the Tuck, you hear about Untucked a lot, right? RuPaul, the Drag Race, Untucked.
Right.
Like that word comes up, tucked.
Yeah.
Tucked is like it's a hot word.
a hot
it does.
word.
It's a verb. It's fun to have
It's
a
a
name.
verb.
It's fun to have a name that's a verb.
You are in the fantastic The Boys in the Band. How are you? The show has been a big success. Audiences are loving it. It's an amazing company of actors and creatives, and it's slowly coming to an end. Not quite yet.
Yeah.
I saw your Instagram post you put up today, actually, about the run.
It's so nice to be part of a loving juggernaut like this. I think there were a lot of people out there who thought, is this thing gonna work? This old relic about self-loathing
Well, it sounds like
gay
you
guys.
thought that. I mean, like I'm reading.
Well, I even thought the same
I'm reading
thing.
your caption.
Yeah.
Follow him on
Yeah.
Instagram, by the way. His kids are adorable.
But we, yeah, so 11 weeks into a 15-week run, the investors have recouped their money. And from
Right.
what I understand, because I don't know a lot about this world, but from what I understand, recouping your money on a limited run, you know, about a straight play, ironically populated by 9 gay dudes, 9 openly gay actors playing those gay dudes also, is kind of a feat. So it's really empowering, I got to say. And to be in this play with these guys, and at the end of the show, and we hold hands and we take a bow, it feels really empowering. I feel like we're moving the needle forward, and that, you know, actors can be gay and out and proud and work. And, you know, I don't have to look that far over my shoulder to see an era where I was scared and I deceived and I deflected. And I hope that we're taking steps down the road where we see less and less of that, and we can all be each other.
Mr. Matt Bomer.
Not be each other, but we can be ourselves in front of each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Matt Bomer was here recently, and he said that he's used to being the one gay guy, like on a set. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we say stuff backstage that we can't say
Say-
when we go to the next show.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good reality show. I want to know what's happening backstage.
Yeah, backstage is where the show is, actually. It's pretty cool.
That could be like a noises off situation. Like you see the play, and then you turn around and you see what you guys do.
Yeah. Well, I think most people would think that that's probably more interesting.
The play is really interesting too, though, and you actually said in this caption that you did the reading a year and a half ago.
Yes.
Right. Joe Mantello approached you. Did you know Joe before that?
I'd met Joe through a mutual friend. We rode a train back from Long Island together, but no, we'd never worked together. And so when he called my cell phone when I was in a park in Kansas City with my kids, it was a bit of a surprise. And he said, "Can you come do this reading?" And I said, "No, I'm doing a play in Kansas City." And he said, "I think you should make it worth your while." And I didn't know what that meant, but it did work out that my day off was the day they were doing the reading. So yeah, so that was pretty cool.
But you were worried about the play.
I wasn't. when Ryan Murphy and Joe Mantello and Jim Parsons, Zach Quinto, Andrew Reynolds, Matt Bomer, and my other buds, Charlie Carver and Robin DeJesus and Michael Benjamin Washington and Brian Hutchison.
You're very good at that.
Wow,
That's
that
good.
was
That's good. You
nailing it.
gotta
Those
make
guys
sure you can do that.
wanted to do a play. If we were going to do Night Mother and somehow it was going to be 9 of us doing the role of 2 women on stage, I would say yes.
That's a fascinating concept,
Thank
Tuck.
I love it.
My point is, when those guys want to do something, you show up and you
Yeah.
find out what's going on.
Right.
But I did think, I only had a tertiary understanding of what this play was, because I grew up. I didn't want to be gay. I didn't like being gay. I was afraid to be gay. I hid it in my career. I hid it from my family. And so I avoided that movie. I avoided that play, and I knew very little about it. And so when it came up again, I thought, why are we going to go dust off that relic? And isn't it about gay guys that don't like each other and don't like themselves?
Right.
I want to be out and proud and move forward and make a difference. What I was missing, I think, and I was really uninformed when I had that knee-jerk reaction, was we need to know where we come from. We need to know why we can celebrate the freedoms that we have today. And it's because we're standing on the shoulders of giants who stood up before us.
Right.
And so that's not to say that this is health food. It's not like seeing this play is like eating granola and you don't want to. It's hilariously funny until it's not. And then it's terrifying. And then to go on this ride where Jim Parsons is the Jim Parsons you know him to be, and then he becomes this other guy, it's mesmerizing to watch.
Right. And you are Hank.
Yes.
And Hank is married.
Yes, Hank's married to a woman.
To a woman,
He
yeah.
has a couple kids. And so in 1968, for a guy to leave his wife and kids to be with a man, he must have been vilified. He must have lost his family, friends, colleagues. But I think he's probably one of the most courageous people in the show because he somehow knew that he wasn't being authentic. And, I think he still loves his wife as best he can. He certainly loves his kids. But he somehow found it somewhere inside of him to stand up and say, I can't do that. I need to go be who I really am. And to do that in 1968, I think so many people led lives of quiet desperation, as they say, and probably dampened the happiness of everyone around them because they couldn't be themselves. And I think we're getting, we're certainly at a better place now, but we do live under a political administration that wants to roll that back.
Right.
And we ain't going back there, y'all. So we need to stand together at the lip of the stage like the 9 of us do and do that across the country.
Right. That's what you said. The work goes on. The work goes on after August 11th.
Yeah.
What led you to that moment 5 years ago when Marie Osmond, you sat on TV with Marie Osmond, who I love, by the way.
I love that you're saying it with a smirk.
I love Marie
You're
Osmond.
Marie Osmond.
Actually, I'm going to reveal something very private, that Marie Osmond has something to do with my coming out, because when I came out to my mom, she said, I always wondered about those Donnie and Marie dolls.
Yeah.
Literally, that was like one of the first things she said. So I love that you came out to Marie Osmond on TV. It's actually...
Well, to be perfectly honest, I was kind of running out of opportunities to talk about it because when I was on Desperate Housewives, I played a gay guy for 4 or 5 years, and I wasn't out publicly. And the reason I wasn't is because I was scared.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep playing other roles. I've gotten to play, murderers and people that beat people up, and I thought if people know I'm gay, they're not going to let me play that whole spectrum. So it really was fear that kept me in, but I had kids through surrogacy, and I became a single gay dad.
Right.
And something toggled over, I think, and I thought, like Hank says in the play, actually, there just came a time where I couldn't lie to myself anymore. And so I thought, I'm going to tell the truth, and whatever's on the other side of that truth is going to be okay. I hope it's more acting, but if it's not, then, I'm an upwardly mobile white American male. No one's going to cry for me, and nor should they. Right. So I'll figure it out. And so that's how that came about.
Yeah, you
that's
probably also had that new daddy glow.
There's no new daddy glow.
No, but
bags under the eye.
It must have led you to a place though where you were like, you know what? Now I'm doing this, and I'm a family,
there
and
was
I do want to.
Yes,
it's
there was a
important
psychological thing that happened
Yeah.
that I think most people probably aren't surprised by because I decided when I was 45, I'm 51 now, when I was 45, I decided I was tired of being the most important person in my own life. And I knew I wanted to have kids. And so when you do that and you fulfill that, you start making decisions naturally that don't center on yourself. And I thought, my kids don't need to see me deflecting and dodging and being silly or being funny in order to just maintain a paycheck.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Katchen and Curtis, right?
Yes.
I love the name Katchen.
Yes.
I mean, people always, I'm sure, ask you about Well, talk Katchen. I mean,
Right.
whatever. I mean, it's a great name.
We're a family of
Catch. You call her Catch?
Yes, yeah, Catch is her nickname. When my sister was considering names, she came up with the name Katchen, and that always stuck in my head. I looked it up online; it's hard to find, but it apparently is of German derivation meaning pure, which is great. I'm glad it doesn't mean sack of potatoes or something like that. But that's not why. I thought a little girl named Catch seemed really sweet. It reminded me of Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird without being too on the nose.
Yeah.
Her middle name is Courtney, my sister's name. So I thought I'd give her a reasonable middle name. If she doesn't care for that. Curtis, my son. Yeah, he's the fifth Curtis in our family, but I didn't want to name him Charles Curtis Watkins IV. I'm Charles Curtis Watkins III. We're not a traditional family. I thought he doesn't need to be burdened with such a traditional name. So his middle name is Brooks, named after my friend Brooke Dillman, who I've known since I was 4, who's the funniest actress I've ever met. She's on Wrecked on TBS. And we grew up in Kansas City together.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, what do they think of Daddy being an actor? I mean, have they seen you on stage?
Well,
I
they
mean, it's a
came.
weird
Here's
show.
what they know about Daddy being an actor. I brought them to the theater on a Saturday morning when our lovely stage manager Fitz said, "I'm going to lay out some snacks." And so I showed them the stage, and they let them walk around the stage.
The set's
If you haven't seen the set,
It's
it's
amazing.
like
I
this
wanna buy
jewelry
it.
box. It's beautiful. And they were nice enough to let 2 5.5-year-old children onto that set. Then I walked them downstairs and showed them the trap door, and there's a secret passage to the Schubert Theater. If you guys didn't know that,
Oh, I
there's a
didn't know
secret
that.
passage to this. Yeah, Victor Garber and I have talked about that. And and so then I showed them the dressing rooms, and my son's takeaway was, "Daddy, that garbage can in your dressing room, does anyone else get to use that?" I'm like, no. He's like, that's
asking the
your
important
garbage
questions.
can. It's funny what kids notice, but that was the thing that he
Love that.
remembers the most.
That's
yeah.
amazing. Was Broadway on your goal list? I mean, you're making your debut.
You know, I honestly, I always wanted to be a movie star.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in the Midwest, and I thought I could move to New York or LA, and I thought I'd rather struggle by a palm tree than that gutter juice that we have out here in the summer. And so I went and did mostly TV and film, and I've done a couple off-Broadway plays. I got to do a really funny thing with the amazing Betty Buckley a few years ago.
Yeah.
And another one at the Cherry Lane.
Right.
But no, Broadway was never necessarily a goal. And when I had the opportunity to come do it, I thought, well, absolutely, who doesn't want to do that? But I gotta say, it's amazing. It's so amazing. I highly recommend that everyone do a Broadway show.
Oh, okay.
All right, easy.
It's been such a magical journey. I feel like I've actually grown a lot. You know, I went from saying, why are we going to do this old play to workshopping the play, rehearsing it, performing it, understanding it better. I feel like I understand myself better. I feel like I understand where we as gay people come from better.
Yeah.
It's just been this amazing opportunity. My kids got to come with me. Our dog got to come. It's just been great. And unfortunately, we have to close on August 11 and go out there and be out and proud elsewhere.
Do we have any? Do One Life to Live fans still come? Is that? I mean, I'm sure.
That's the thing I hear the most outside at the autograph line.
Forever.
And they'll always say, "I'm sorry, but I liked One Life to Live." I'm like, why is everybody sorry that they like One Life to Live? Soap fans are a unique breed, and even after the show has been canceled, 8 years ago or something like that, they still pop up and they still make reference and they still come to see you in Broadway plays.
Right.
So I don't think those fans should be discounted or marginalized because they're the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And do they still bring like the soap opera magazines and the black and white photos of you? And,
No, but someone did hand me a photograph of Mr. Spock and said, "Will you sign this?" I said, "I'm not Zach Quinto." and then they said, "You're not?" As if maybe I still was.
Like, are you sure you're not?
Yeah.
Are you positive?
You're lying.
Liar.
Hey, Caitlin.
Yes.
Are there any questions from the fans?
Yes, there are a lot. Oh, I like this one. Is there a time in the show that is hard for you guys to not like break and get out of character and laugh at?
Yes, every time Andrew Rannells says something under his voice that he's not supposed to be saying.
Oh, he does that?
He says it like all the time. Yeah,
Like little asides?
yesterday he said, "I'm going to work in this word," and I can't say the word because it's not a word that we should probably say. But he said, "I'm going to say this word on stage," and sure enough, he said it to me when I'm supposed to be mad at him. I'm supposed to be looking at him like,
Right.
and he says the word, and then I go. So yeah, that happens a lot. But here's the deal. Guys like Rannells are so professional that they can get away with that, and no one knows in the house that they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't do that. I'll get busted.
Oh gosh. I love that. I know when I saw it, I feel like I saw him like under his breath whispering a lot. Like, I'm like, what are you? Is he really saying anything, or is he just whispering?
Yeah. Sit in the front row. You'll find out.
Find out what he's saying. Ooh, what are you going to miss the most about the play and being in New York?
The trash can.
The trash can.
Yeah, I'm taking that trash can.
Yeah.
I'm taking that $1.95 IKEA trash can with me. Honestly, everything, because it's all been so cool. You know, we all really do get along. I know people say, "Oh, I love my cast," but I love my cast. But I think, and I've actually been thinking about this the last couple of days because it feels like we're coming down towards the end.
Yeah.
Remember that TV show Lost?
Yeah.
And when they all got off the island and they would run into each other back in the mainland, but somehow like the magic was broken. I'm afraid of like running into Bomer at Starbucks in LA and going, "Oh, hi, but you're different now." You know?
Yeah.
Because we do have, it feels like we're more than a cast. It feels like we're this team, and it actually feels like we're this gay Justice League, and we're all these different superheroes, and we all wear capes, but we all have a different superpower, but we work collectively, and there's really no competition because we're not competing for the same space. It's not like we're both trying to be, you know, a Montague and a Capulet. We're all, you know, different stripes that complement each other, and it's so nice, and that's a credit to Mark Crowley, who wrote the play. That each of the 9 are essential because they don't occupy the same space as anyone else. So I guess the answer to that is these guys. I hope, you know, I'm sure we'll stay in touch. We'll see each other, but we'll never all 9 be backstage doing those things that we don't tell the audience that we're doing.
Is there a Boys in the Band group chat? Is that, I know the kids do group chats. Is there a group
Well,
chat?
we do. This is the first group chat I've been on. At 50, do you mean like
Like
a
everyone
text
texts each
thread?
other.
Yeah, we're all on the same text thread.
Yeah.
The 9 of us are on one text thread.
I think the day it closes, you just publish that entire.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Just publish it.
Yeah, some incendiary stuff
Send
comes
it to,
up.
send it
on
to Broadway.com. We'll publish that.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, let's do one more question. And this one, what was your first like theater role you ever did?
I played Rip Van Winkle in 5th grade after he went to sleep. Brian Berg played Rip Van Winkle until he went to sleep, and then I walked out with a cotton ball beard and tapped him on the shoulder, and he walked off stage, and I played Rip Van Winkle, which that's really the best part of Rip Van Winkle, right? The old guy. Yeah, that's where the real
Was it a
that's where the real
directorial
meat of the
concept,
character is.
or just a way to give
No,
multiple
in fact,
roles?
Mrs. Phipps, our 5th grade teacher, I was going to play the whole thing, and I said, "I can't memorize all the lines." And she said, "Brian Berg, you're playing the front half." So
I love that.
that was my first. But I do remember actually in 5th grade that sort of intoxicating feeling of being on stage and performing and awareness of the audience, and you do we get bitten by the bug, don't we?
Yeah.
And I feel like I kind of got bitten by the bug there in 5th grade.
Amazing.
Well, I'm glad you got the bite.
Yeah.
You need to come back and do more. Broadway will bite you again.
I'd be
Glad to
happy
have
to
you.
be bitten. Thank you.
So
This is
Boys in
fun.
the Band is The Boys in the Band is playing through August 11th at the Booth Theater. You have to see it not just for the set, but the set alone is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the boys are fantastic. The boys and the men. It's really a beautiful production, and you're part of one of those casts that we're gonna be talking about forever. You know what I mean? When you think like, oh my God, can you believe all those people were pulled together on that
Yeah.
stage?
Until Jim starts robbing banks or something. And then, what is it?
No.
There goes Parsons, robbing banks now.
And work
it.
on that Night Mother idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could
Okay.
be- that's
Yeah,
all.
a collective 9 men playing Night Mother
Yeah,
at one
let's do
time.
that.
All right.
I'm
Could be
into
fun.
that. Hey, Caitlin, why don't you take us out?
Sure. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are live at 5 every single day on Facebook. You can listen to all past Live at 5 episodes by going to wherever you listen to podcasts and typing in #live@5 and hitting that subscribe button. Be sure to tune in tomorrow when we talk to Mike Wartella about his upcoming 54 Below show.